Hello, everyone. This will be the first session in what we will call the step-by-step series. This will be a series of short videos, so many of them. The main target is to put you on the way of research, more specifically on the way or the correct path of clinical research. We will tackle so many topics in clinical research, and these topics will be approached in a step-by-step fashion so that even if you're a beginner, you can know the theoretical and the correct scientific base of each concept in clinical research. And step by step, as we say, you'll be a professional clinical researcher. We will start by systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So, I don't know if you know anything about systematic review or meta-analysis, but let's start with the very fundamental concept in research, which is the definition of research. So, what is research to start with? Research, according to dictionary definition, is a systematic investigation that increases the sum of knowledge, which means that there should be a question, and by doing systematic or by pursuing a systematic approach, we can reach the answer of this question. This question is probably doesn't have an answer that's known to all mankind. And by pursuing this systematic approach, you as a researcher, you are going to provide an answer to mankind, which makes research a very, very novel, a very noble enterprise. So, you hear the word research, you might have heard the word review. I just want to make a housekeeping keeping issue here. Sometimes I might come across one or more terms that seem advanced, but I'm going to try to explain those terms in very simple simple ways. So, when we say the word review, we mean that we are reviewing something. We are doing something again. And as you have seen, the hallmark of research is about its novelty. You are giving a new answer to the question or to a certain question, as I told you. This is the hallmark of research. So, how come there is a type of research that's called a systematic review? How can it be a review and at the same time, how can it be a type of original research? In fact, systematic review is one of the highest levels of evidence. It produces a very high level of evidence if done in a correct way. If, as opposed to a systematic review, we have something that's called a narrative review. A narrative review is not really a type of research because it's not answering a certain question. In a narrative review, you decide to write about a certain topic. Perhaps you read a bit about that topic, a reference or two, or perhaps 10, 20 references, as much as you like, or as many as you like. And then you start writing your review because you like that topic. You want to write about it. This is still your intellectual property. And you can still publish this, but it's not research because you have not started it by a question. Okay, and perhaps even if you try to give an answer to some question, you won't have or you didn't have in this method a documented systematic approach. You didn't follow a systematic approach in the narrative review. However, in a systematic review, there is a documented systematic approach. A systematic review is a type of research on studies, is not on humans. In clinical research in general, you recruit human subjects or human participants, and perhaps you give them questionnaires. Perhaps you do some measurements, you measure the blood pressure, you give them some medicine, or perhaps you are going to study or try a new operation. This is a form of clinical research, primary clinical research on humans. In a systematic review, your subjects are not humans. Your subjects are the actual studies that have been published. But there might be some problem that you have so many studies about a certain topic, and you want to gather all these studies and come up with a new conclusion by gathering and by studying and by, let's say, synthesizing results of all these studies. So, systematic review is a study on studies. But because it's a proper form of research, it still has to have a documented systematic approach. So, what you do in a systematic review is you have a research question, and I'm going to talk about the research question in details and how can we formulate a research question. And after you have this question, you should have a way to identify or to locate all the studies that have been done anywhere on the globe to try to answer this question. And after that, after searching for these studies, you're going to select from them certain studies that are suitable to your question. And from those studies, you are going to get the full text of all these studies. You are going to read through them and you're going to extract data. Data that again will help you to answer the question. And then you perform what we call synthesis. And as the word implies, synthesis means that you are going to use building blocks to make something new or to build something new. So you're going, let's say, to pose a certain research question, and then you're going to perform search, and you're going to select, let's say, 10 studies, 20 studies, and then you're going to get the full text from all these studies, and you're going to read them all. And from these studies, you're going to extract certain data that answer your question. And then you're going to put this data all together and make new calculations, perhaps, make new tables, new assumptions. And at the end, you are going to come up with an answer to the original question that is more accurate than any answer given by any of the individual 10 or 20 studies you have found in the first place. This process of study identification and searching, study selection, data extraction, and the process of synthesis, they should be done all in a standardized and transparent approach according to correct methodology that you need to learn about. So, as I told you, as opposed to a narrative review, which is an overview of primary studies, not been identified or analyzed in a systematic way, a systematic review has a documented systematic approach. Now, I advise any researcher or let's say any student who wants to start on research is to start by a systematic review. And although it is quite difficult and it needs a very high level of understanding about all aspects of critical appraisal, about all aspects of evidence-based medicine, a great deal of statistics, you need to have high skills to perform such a review, which is called systematic review. Although that, yes, this is true. However, it is something that you can do without going to the field. You don't need to have ethical committee approval. You don't need to obtain ethical approval for it. You can just go on and do it. And while you are performing this systematic review, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to be a researcher who really understands many of the pitfalls that people fall into. And when you do your own primary research later on, you are going to do it at a very high standard. So thank you for listening to this introduction. This is the first video in that series, and I hope to see you soon with the next video. Bye-bye.